easier than you think.
Peace. This is Koof Knots.
And Christine Elise.
And you are tuned into
CKMS
102.7
Radio Waterloo.
Keep rocking out, y'all.
Peace.
Analogies describe the scene as chaotic. As reporters in Maine came to
the trauma, and the gossip, I'm over it. Need the commas, need the prosper, no dollars, no counterfeit. All the trauma, and the gossip, I'm over it. Need the commas, need the prosper, no dollars, no counterfeit. I wanna see my people at the top, yeah. I don't go outside cause of odds, yeah. They see you winning and they wanna rob, yeah. All these voices in my head, they imposters. I wanna see my people at the top, yeah. I don't go outside cause of odds, yeah. They see you winning and they wanna rob, yeah. All these voices in my head, they imposters. I'm staying out of the way, I'm on my own. But I don't know what you said, don't wanna do no talk. Okay, I'm really fucked up, no I don't give a fuck what you thought. Still the same, even when I'm at the cushion, you find me somewhere with a bomb. This all for the rest, I'ma rent my place. I still remember the days of courage and I'm getting the cake. I can't be fake. I'm facing my problems, I do what it takes. This time you can play. Just turn out the bass when you feel the pain. All the trauma, and the gossip, I'm over it. Need the commas, need the prosper, no dollars, no counterfeit. All the trauma, and the gossip, I'm over it. Need the commas, need the prosper, no dollars, no counterfeit. I wanna see my people at the top, yeah. I don't go outside cause of odds, yeah. They see you winning and they wanna rob, yeah. All these voices in my head, they imposters. I wanna see my people at the top, yeah. I don't go outside cause of odds, yeah. They see you winning and they wanna rob, yeah. All these voices in my head, they imposters.
They watch, funny, they talk too much. Being them shouldn't talk, but now they know it sucks. Still so shut out to that plug. Fuck whatever you were saying, how they get some money. People claiming they know me. I'm zooming right past them ghosting. Still ain't mad, I ain't know you was smoking. Bitches blow up the boy, I get roasted. Life ain't wild, I'm focused. They ain't used to the side, I'm sure. You can go for this life if you want it. No, you get what I mean if you got it, yeah.
All the trauma, and the gossip, I'm over it. Need the commas, need the prosper, no dollars, no counterfeit. All the trauma, and the gossip, I'm over it. Need the commas, need the prosper, no dollars, no counterfeit. I wanna see my people at the top, yeah. I don't go outside cause of odds, yeah. They see you winning and they wanna rob, yeah. All these voices in my head, they imposters. I wanna see my people at the top, yeah. I don't go outside cause of odds, yeah. They see you winning and they wanna rob, yeah. All these voices in my head, they imposters. Come on,
Oh yeah! You're listening to CKMS 102.7 FM Radio Waterloo. And that was Mattmac and Stella Standingbear. And we are Two White Feather, Lori, Gentle Eagle, Cedar Bear, the emotional support pup. We got Rogue, Arrow, and Grandpa Rufus here. Oh yeah! This is the Red Road Journey where we aim to amplify Indigenous voices to heal ourselves, our relatives, our communities, and our planet. We are broadcasting you from the traditional territories of the neutral Anishinaabe and Haudenosaunee people. Look yeah! So, today, I shouldn't say today, I should say this month, July, is Disability Pride Month. a time to challenge autism,
Ableism.
challenge ableism, to acknowledge all gifts from the Creator as a natural reflection of human diversity, and to celebrate identities, culture, and contributions of the people with disabilities. July was chosen because of the passing of the Americans with Disabilities Act in the U.S. on July 26, 1990. So, here's a short clip on the meaning behind the Disability Pride flag. So let me pull it up here for you guys, and we will listen to a short clip here. So, here we go. Look ya.
The original flag was created in 2019 by Anne McGill. It featured zigzag lines to reflect how disabled people navigate a world that isn't made for them, and had bright colours. But members of the disability community pointed out that it actually caused accessibility issues for people with conditions like migraine, epilepsy, and some neurodivergent folk, especially when viewed on a screen. This was an important reminder that even we as disabled people can make mistakes when it comes to accessibility. But Anne listened to the concerns of the community and collaborated with them to introduce the new Disability Pride flag in 2021, which is the one we use today. The flag features 5 coloured stripes, each representing a different type of disability. The green represents sensory perception disabilities such as blindness and deafness. Blue represents mental illness. White represents invisible disabilities, or those in the community who are as unyet diagnosed. The yellow represents cognitive and intellectual disabilities, including those who are neurodivergent. And the red represents physical disabilities. The charcoal background honours those we've lost, not just to their conditions, but to ableism and inaccessibility. The stripes are parallel to show solidarity across the community, even though our community is one of the largest and most diverse minority groups in the world. Will you be making sure that the Disability Pride flag has a place in your school, workplace or home this Disability Pride Month? And I'd love to hear what Disability Pride Month means to you in the comments.
So thank you. That was Disability Pride flag. And I didn't realize there's a pride flag for disability. And I fit into 2 of those columns. Not divergent, and what was the other one? The first one, the green one, I think she said.
Well, mental health.
Well, mental health, yeah.
And
not divergent.
Neurodivergent.
And then I think there was another one. But to be honest, I think I'm going to get that flag to represent myself and put it on the car. Because I didn't know, like I said, I didn't know about a Disability Pride flag. And I do fit into 2 or 3 of those columns. And I think maybe even Lori might have fit into one of those columns too. Like, everyone has mental health. So, everyone should be fit into that. At least,
Yeah, I'm sure many will identify with that. And if you're interested, that TikTok clip came to us from, her name on social media is Chronically Jenny, and she has some really good educational pieces about disability in general. So yeah, thank you to her for that.
Yeah.
Did you know that people with disabilities make up the largest and most diverse group in the world? We make up over 15%, I'm sure that's higher, of the world's population, and we represent all ages, races, ethnicities, genders, sexual orientations, religions, and socioeconomic backgrounds. Today on the Red Road Journey, we are going to learn more about navigating the world with disabilities from residential school survivor, actor, writer, community activist, Stephen George Lytton. Stephen says he did not know he had a disability until it was forced upon him. Due to cerebral palsy, he did not walk until 10 years of age, when he moved from pulling himself around with his arms or being carried by others to using a walker and then crutches. He experienced bullying at the residential school he attended in BC, with others calling him a freak and throwing rocks at him. And because of his increased vulnerability, he was sexually abused. In his documentary, The Language of Love, Stephen gives voice to what it was like spending 13 years in that residential school as an Indigenous boy with a disability. We really do encourage you to watch that short film available on the internet. And I would add too, I've seen it, I would add a trigger warning. It's difficult to watch and listen to, but ever so important. So thanks to Stephen for sharing his life with us, or at least a 10-minute clip of it anyways. He's definitely a survivor. And after volunteering with the BC Aboriginal Network on Disability Society for many, many years, he actually became the president. And in 2015, he was awarded the Governor General's Sovereign Medal for volunteer service with all the work that he did with that organization.
Wow.
Like many of us who are a part of A Womb with a View, Stephen believes that the arts are one of many ways to build bridges, both culturally and socially. We're going to hear a little bit of an interview with him, and he's speaking about this while talking about a project that he was involved with as an actor. And that project was called Weaving Reconciliation, Our Way. So here's the clip of his interview.
So here it is.
Hello, Mr. Stephen Lytton.
Hello, how are you this morning?
I'm great, yes.
Pleasure to be here.
Thank you for taking the time.
My pleasure.
Stephen is involved in Weaving Reconciliation as an actor, and what role are you going to be playing?
I'm playing the old one's brother.
Old one's brother. Great.
I've got demoted from the old one to the brother. But I'm very honored that I'm still involved in the project. But I'll say no more.
Awesome, thanks. Can you tell us a little bit about yourself?
My name is Stephen Lytton. I'm originally from Lytton, British Columbia. I'm from the Interior Salish Thompson First Nations of the Intlekatlan First Nations. I was born in Lytton, BC in 1955. I spent a little bit of time off and on in hospitals and residential school, and I moved here in 1978 from Lytton, BC. There was very little in the way of opportunities for people with special needs. There was no vocational training, job training, or jobs for that matter. One of the greatest things that I've ever done was to leave my community, to become who I am today. Leaving my community, also getting involved in the community, getting involved in theater. With my first experience in theater was through Vancouver Moving Theater. It was a play called In the Heart of the City Community Play, which was the story of our community about missing and murdered women, drugs and alcohol, and mental illness.
Yes, and you were involved in the original story weaving, back when Weaving Reconciliation Our Way was called story weaving.
I believe it was after the Truth and Reconciliation process. There were pros and cons to that process, like everything else. When you start something, you're not always going to be right, and you're not always going to be wrong. You do the best you can with what you have and the information that you're given. We had to make a deal with the devil in order that those that were passing, they needed to feel that their process was heard. They needed to have Canada reconcile and finally address the real issue of what Canada did wrong. We continue in sharing this reconciliation through theater. Story weaving project Our Way is sharing, continuing to share with Canada in the way we felt best to share it through theater. There's more invitation in sharing through the beauty of theater than there is politically, because eventually when we continue to slam the issue publicly in the news or whatever media form we use, we slam the issue, people get tired. But I find that when you share something through the beauty of theater, people are more inviting. And you share through the beauty of theater, pain, heartbreak, love and compassion.
And what do you hope the impact of this place might be?
From a First Nations perspective, from my perspective, my hope is that we continue to have an open heart in sharing with Canada. We have nothing to be ashamed of, but for a lot of our people, for a lot of them who see this, there's pros and cons to it because you're reopening up the wounds that people continue to carry today. I can only share from my lived experience of going to the residential school and sharing my lived experience with Marie Clements through Frog Girl Films. The story that I shared was called The Language of Love. And it was coming from a male perspective at being sexually abused and all that. And I learned that we didn't learn anything in residential school. Through that whole process, we weren't taught anything. Through the language of love, I learned so much about myself. I learned so much about where I needed to go. I learned so much how to have a healthy relationship, not only with ourselves, but with our friends, and how to have a companionship with the opposite sex. How do we relate to one another? In the residential school, never saw me as an interest, never saw me as a potential partner. And in the beginning, I resented that. But I realized after leaving school that I had to learn everything as I went through life and continued in my journey. I no longer resent the women in my life because they've taught me so much. They've been there for me. I've made a lot of mistakes, but I've also made a lot of step forward. And another thing about reconciliation and the story weaving project teaches us a lot about ourselves. Our willingness to be open, our willingness to be truthful, and our willingness to continue to go forward. Going forward is a must. There's no other option. We have no other choice. And when you have a disability in residential school, having a disability and having been sexually abused is four times that greater of the normal population within the residential school. Because if you talk about your experience in the residential school to an adult, who are they going to believe? Are they going to believe the adult over the child? 9 times out of 10, they're going to believe the adult over the child. So who do you turn to? And then eventually the child just clambers up, right? For both men and girls and boys. Yeah, and that's why we have to talk about the truth. One of the best things in sharing that it has moved me to where I am today. I'm able to talk about it. I've opened up the floodgates. You have to, in order for us to begin to recommit ourselves to a new journey. We have to allow the floodgates to open so that we're able to shed the tears, so that once we've dealt with the pain and the hurt and the anger and all that it entails, we can now replant the seed so it can blossom into who we've become today and who we are becoming today. The fact of the matter is that we have to continue sharing reconciliation so that Canada and others around the world may one day wake up. Because it's not shared through immigration. Our lived experiences through reconciliation should and must be shared through immigration to new immigrants and needs to be shared on the national level. And that's our hope, is that we're not sharing in spite. We're sharing because we need to. Not only for ourselves, but for those that follow in our footsteps. One of the greatest things of reconciliation is talking to you like this, and to talk to other people, and to talk to students, and to talk to universities. It's not through the governments.
It's not, it's direct contact with the people. You have stories of your history. You have stories of what has happened to you and what has happened, the common experiences that we all have as human beings. I think the key thing to reconciliation is always having that door open. I think sharing, weaving reconciliation will help people shed the tears, but also help ease the pain of letting go. And letting go is a must. If we're to survive as a people, we must begin to look at where we're at as Indigenous people in order for us to begin to lead our nation forward. The sad thing today is our youth are dying faster than those that have been institutionalized either through residential school, either through foster care, either through reform, or in the penal system, incarceration. And we have to wake up and begin to look at where we're at so we can begin to be role models for those that follow in our footsteps, because we need them and they need us. But first we have to overcome and not forget the pain. Use the pain of your past as a strength to move forward, because our youth need us. And the only way we're going to do that, and we need the youth, because they are our future. We can't forget them, because they're lost in this, because we're lost. We have to overcome that so they can look at us, look to us, and we can look to them, because they are our future. They are the past, the present, and the future. But we have to give them some hope. And in doing this through story weaving, reconciliation our way, this is the way to go. It's sharing the very beauty of who we are as a people, and not only as a people, but who we are as First Nations from the four corners of the globe. When they started the TRC, they meant well. But what they didn't do was what they should have done: go to each community within the nation of Canada. Really have meaningful dialogue about reconciliation. And what does it mean to each individual? Once they've compiled that, what does reconciliation mean to me? It may mean something different from me to another individual. And once they've gathered up all that information, then they bring it and collaboratively try to work together. Now that they know what reconciliation means to each community, what does it mean? They're trying to find one definition of reconciliation from a national perspective. One meaning of reconciliation that they can bring together to make one collaborative statement, and then bring that to Canada. What does reconciliation truly mean to Canada? Do they truly understand the history? Do they truly understand what reconciliation is? Yes and no. Some might get the gist of it, but do they truly understand what we're trying to share? Do we truly understand what do we want to share? What we want to share as Indigenous people? Are we ready to share what we truly want to share? Yes, we are. We're doing this because we must. we must. And continue to share for as long as we're able to. There's no other option for us. We can do it with or without you, but we'd prefer to do it with the world, because at the end of the day, we still have to go back and deal with the daily issues within our communities to try to mend and fix and heal our communities. And I'd rather work with Canada, the nation, the world, than to work without them. But it's entirely up to the world. It's up to Canada, and it's up to our non-Indigenous peoples. And if we were truly concerned about our planet and where we're going, that includes humanity, not only the environment. So now I'll shut. I could keep going all day.
So that was an interview with Stephen Lytton, and that was done with Julia Sidlowska.
Yes.
Sorry, I'm probably not pronouncing that correctly.
I don't think we're saying that right, but yes, something like that anyways. Wow, that even gives me, I'm First Nations, I'm Ojibwe, Anishinaabe, and that gives me a whole different perspective on reconciliation right there on what he was saying. That was amazing, I gotta say. So, well, right now, Stephen is also a writer. So we're going to read from a story called Stephen's Salmon Legend.
I love this. It's you'll hear it. It's for children, but so many messages for us as adults as well.
So what we're going to do is we're going to go back and forth. So I'm going to start. Stephen's Salmon Legend. My name is Finn, and I'm from the Nikamen Indian Reserve. I was born in 1955. My mother is from Interior Salish Thompson Nation, and my father was a fisherman from Finland.
My life is anything but ordinary, because when I was born with a fishtail. At my naming ceremony, I was given the name Finn. My mother was a cowboy and a rancher. She managed the horses and cattle. She also raised 9 children, including me, her fish boy. One day my father left and never returned. He left my mother to fend for all of us. My childhood was tinged with challenges because I could not walk.
Oh, I gotta move the thing down. Sorry, guys. I knew that one day I would have to leave home, and that when I did, it would be forever. I stayed home as long as I could, playing with my sisters in the summertime. My mother put me on a horse, and we could spend long days swimming and playing along with at the Thompson River. I was there, I discovered my ability to swim like a mighty salmon. The river was a place where I found solace and a rare sense of freedom. The river gave me an intense feeling of strength.
She spoke to me and told me of lands far away. I felt a sense of belonging, of heritage. She told me one day I would have to go with her, to trust in her, to carry me to a place of calmer waters where I would be safe.
Safe from the Indian agent who rounded us up and sent us away to residential school. Away from the protection of our mother in the end of the summer. The authorities told my mother we had to go. We had no choice. They put us in a vehicle and took us away. Without the protection of my mother, I was left alone in the face relentless bullying. The children threw rocks and taunted me. They teased me from my differences. They called me a freak. The adults in charge did nothing to protect me. And it was here, in this harsh environment, that I realized how different I was from my peers. It was here that I learned the word disabled.
Disabled.
Oh, disabled. Sorry, I read that wrong. I'm so sorry, guys. I have a reading issue, so...
The summer I turned 12, I returned home. We returned to our swimming hole to play down by the river. However, I knew that soon I would have to leave, and this time forever. The river called to me. My heart broke. To leave my mother and my family? But I had to leave to survive. I had to carry out my mother's legacy. There was no other option.
My mother was proud of her boy. She realized that she had to let me go. She opened up her arms and she allowed me to blossom.
With a heavy heart and unwavering determination, she laid me in the river. She kissed my cheek. A tear dropped onto my fishtail. Turquoise scales glimmered in the water.
I opened my young arms to my mother of the river. Who carried me away? I heard my grizzly bear mother's growls grow smaller and smaller as I carried away by the current.
And that was Stephen's Salmon Legend. Again, you can see the many gifts that this man brings.
Mm-hmm. That was amazing.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Disability brings with it many challenges. We're not going to, sugarcoat it. And certainly both myself and Two White Feather can speak about the challenges that it brings. So I was wondering, Two White Feather, if you can just think for a moment about what you would consider your biggest hurdle in terms of any or all of the disabilities.
Well,
and
yes.
how you've worked to overcome those.
So, to be honest, my biggest hurdle is my speech impediment, learning how to describe on how I'm feeling, because sometimes I'll say something and someone else will interpret it wrong because it's on how I say it, but that's not what I meant. I meant it this way. So, I have a problem with saying stuff. So, to be honest, Lori, she knows what I'm trying to say because she's been there with our family. She knows all about our family history pretty much. She's been there with a lot of important dates, and she's understanding on how our family works and what our problems are, and she helps me with trying to get my words out properly, especially to those people that I need to speak that way, because if not, they'll take it and twist my words around on a way that I did not even want it to go or even meant it that way, right? So that's my biggest hurdle.
Yeah, I agree. Although I would also say too that you do speak much better than you're able to communicate in writing. Right?
Yes,
and that's
yeah.
a struggle.
Yeah.
And that's often why you'll see me behind the the communications around what it is we do, and that's at Two White Feathers request.
Yeah.
Although I would say you're coming, you're coming
doing
far
better.
on that as well. Reading, writing, comprehension, all of those things.
To be honest, about a year and a half ago, I wouldn't have been able to read what I did here.
Yeah.
I wouldn't have been able to. But with the help of Gentle Eagle Lori, I'm able to be here where I'm at now, where I'm able to read little short stories and not get frustrated because I can't say the words. Now I'll try to pronounce it. I'll ask Lori, and then I'll fix it if I pronounced it wrong. And I'm not getting mad at myself because I now know that I can't be hard on myself. This is a learning curve for me, and if I keep it open, like I said, I'm able to read now. Mm-hmm. And where before I wasn't able to read even one sentence because I would get so, So,
well, it's all about the environment too, right? And growing up with with fetal alcohol, right, which affects people cognitively, right? Their brain, right, and their learning process, and then also with ADHD, right? I mean, the environment was so key, and we know, right, the way our school system still is today to a certain extent. It just doesn't allow a person to flourish, right, when they have a differently wired brain.
Pretty much like they hold them back they put them in special class, hold them back. Meanwhile, heck, some of those kids are smarter in different things. Say, like I knew this one kid, he didn't understand anything but math. He was doing algebra, grade 12 algebra in grade 9. But they still kept him in that class and kept him on the dummy math. I call it dummy math because it's like 2 plus 2, 4 plus, it's like, it's not this, we need actual numbers to learn. And he was amazing, but they kept him there. And this is what I mean. Like, I know back in the day when I went to school, I don't know how it is now, but they held us back. Yeah.
No, I know. My mother, who's passed now, was a teacher, and, she had lots of stories to tell about the kids in her classrooms because she often worked in, communities around our area at the time that were marginalized, how there would be pressure on her to move the children to the next grade, and she never wanted to do that. She wanted to meet them where they were at, and make sure they had the that foundation to build on, so that there was less frustration in the system as they moved forward, assuming that that's what they wanted to do.
Yeah.
But anyways, I wanted to comment a little bit on disability and the challenges that it's brought me. I wanted to focus on the physical disability right now, because that's been something that only recently has come to be an issue for me. For those of you that don't know, I have limited mobility, and it's due primarily to pretty advanced osteoarthritis.
Yeah.
And my knees have been the most affected. I also have rheumatoid arthritis, which affects my fingers pretty badly, and my toes. But at any rate, I would say, in terms of the biggest hurdle, it's been coming to terms with the losses that I've endured. There's things that I can't do now that I used to be able to do, that I really took for granted. I was once a competitive athlete in many sports, and so movement was key, right, for me, and it brought a lot of enjoyment as well, a lot of recognition. I did really well in all the sports that I was in, and so just grieving the loss of, not being able to participate in sport, but not even being able to participate much in activities of daily living. It's been really, really tough. And again, I credit, Two White Feather with a lot for helping me, right? Helping me navigate the world in this new way. And dealing with the frustrations that I have because of it. A couple of days ago, I fell. And I've fallen a couple of times in the last year, but, I hurt on a regular basis, but that fall just added more to the pain that I suffer with. And then, yesterday, for instance, I took on way more than I should have and became frustrated.
That's what I mean. She's a freaking champ, and she'll go out of her way to get it done. Even she'll work to the pain where she's crying, and we're telling her, sit down, honey, sit down, Lori. And she's like, no, I got to get this done.
Yeah.
And I got to give her props, because when I heard, I stopped. I can't work anymore. But she works through that pain. I can't imagine what kind of pain she's going through. But, I do give her, massages and feet massages and stuff like that. And I bought her like a knee vibration thing, for her knee. But she's a freaking champ, I gotta say.
And that's where I think the competitive athlete in me still lives and survives.
Exactly. I do see that.
Yeah,
right?
that was, that's what it's all about, right? I remember I broke a record in the 800 meters once, and I came second, believe it or not. I still broke the record, but I came second. Me and the other young girl, we were like neck and neck. She'd pull ahead, then I'd pull ahead.
Yeah.
She'd pull ahead, then I'd pull ahead. And I ran until my legs literally gave out.
Oh.
My father, who also, an athlete in his prime, he ran alongside me. On the inside of the track, just to get me to that finish line, because he knew, right, how determined I was, and how much effort I put into my practices and all of that. And I made it, but you could see like my legs were just giving out, and I crashed at the end. But that still stays with me to this day. However, I need to learn, right? I need to learn that I have to pace myself. Mm-hmm. And, because whatever I'm going to do today, I may pay for, the
Tomorrow
next day.
Or the next
so
day,
I need to, pace myself and find that balance. So, there's challenges, but like anything in life, right? It's a double-edged sword, right? There's the gift and the curse, so to speak.
Yeah.
But we're going to, before we get into the music selections, I just want to include a little bit more of Stephen and what he says back to those people who ignorantly ask the question, what's wrong with the Indians? Why don't they just get over it? So here is his response. And again, Two White Feather and I are going to read a little blurb. And I'm just going to find the selection here. So he talks on disability specifically. Okay.
So,
and he says, he reminds us again that people with disabilities are among the most disadvantaged groups in this country. They face social and economic barriers which prevent them from being full and equal participants in community life. More than 60% of the total Canadian population with disabilities have incomes below the poverty line. And I know that is worsening because of, the punitive legislation that's before us right now.
My job experiences were mostly in government subsidized job training programs. The employer received money from the government to cover the wages for a period of time, and when the time ended, so did the job. As a person with a disability, I was let go, where some able-bodied people were kept on. The person with the disability had to far exceeded the requirements for others in order to be considered for continued employment. Those who do succeed demonstrate and commit to the job far beyond other employees.
I volunteered for many organizations, and that is a good thing. But in it, one can be overused and burned out. Dignity is lost, and bitterness and resentment can set in. Our society has become volunteer-oriented, not job-oriented. The major issues facing Indigenous people with disabilities include poverty, which is the lack of income to cover the cost of the necessities of life, housing, food, transportation, etc., lack of accessible and affordable housing, lack of home support services, lack of access to medical equipment and devices, lack of accessible and affordable transportation, especially, right, on remotely situated First Nations reservations. And job training and career opportunities.
Many people with disabilities are forced to leave their communities in order to have access to services they require because of their disability. This compounds the feeling for loneliness and isolation. The opportunities for people with disabilities are not the same as those without disabilities in the Indigenous communities, let alone the mainstream society. There are limited access and adequate housing in the reserves, and my ability to function in the community. They need health issues addressed in their communities, and often is not available.
Disability respects no boundaries. It encompasses all people regardless of gender, race, social class, age, and nationality. It concerns and impacts on all members of a community and on Canadian society in general. At the same time, the impact of disability weighs more heavily on Indigenous people with a disability. It is an even greater disadvantage to be a female with a disability than to be a male with a disability in Canada. Similarly, Indigenous people with disabilities in Canada face a compounded disadvantage.
When it comes to mental illness, it is another problem. It is not outwardly visible. There is a stigma we fear of the unknown. In the society, we accept drug and alcohol addictions as the normal, and they are treated continuously with no stigma attached compared to that of mental illness. Movies about mental illness have created a culture of fear and abuse of mental ill, such as One Fly Over the Cuckoo's Nest, A Beautiful Mind, A Snake Pit. The result in people suffering from mental illness are being shunned, abused in the communities, being used as drug runners, sex trade workers, and other behaviors that they put them at risk. In the end of being tossed aside by society, all they really want is to be included. Some of the missing women and mental health illnesses.
Some of the missing women
oh my goodness,
had mental health issues.
I'm sorry, my speech, my English, or trying to read is coming out right now, so I'm going to let Lori read the rest. I'm sorry, guys.
What part does fetal alcohol syndrome play in the picture? Ironically. We need to educate society on the issues facing those with mental health issues. There are needs that must be addressed in care for the mentally ill. How should they be treated? Institutionalized, incarcerated, or in community? Who will advocate for them? The workers who care for those with mental health issues need support so they do not become abusive within the workplace. Burnout can be a danger to the patient. When one is hospitalized, they are often released too soon, and they do not have a safe environment to return to, and the help they received is soon lost, and they return to their old ways. The environment of the hospital prevents friends and support people from visiting them in the hospital. So, some things have changed, right, in what Stephen has shared there, but we still have a long way to go, right? And I'm so grateful that, Stephen has found the arts.
Yeah.
The arts as a way to heal. And, we're speaking of the creative arts, whether you're performing, right, in theater, or you're writing, or crafting, or singing, it is a way to resist the stigma and to redefine what it means to be differently abled, or even, as we say now, at A Womb with a View, uniquely gifted. in this world. So we're going to play some music, and I know Two White Feather has been hard at work, as usual, finding some song selections for us.
So, the first one is Look Behind My Disability, See the True Me, Fire in the Rain. So, this is Indigenous Disability singing this. So, here we go. Look, yeah.
Like the sea meets every shore, not an if but it's a when. From beginning to the end, I am fire in the rain. I've been through it all before, and I'd go through it again. Feel me burning from within, 'cause I am fire in the rain.
On a race, so we can motivate this generation of our people to the center stage.
Undivided, we are one. When it's said and done, just try and become a better man, a better son. No shadows if you face the sun.
You can try to run, but it's only that far. Fall in the sky if you aim from the stars. Out of this world, feel like we hit the ceiling, breathing like we living up on Mars.
Never the same, people gonna change, even in pain.
Remember to dance like nobody's ever really watching you. They can't see your tears fall in the rain. Nobody can see a teardrop in the rain.
Like the sea meets every shore, not an if but it's a when. From beginning to the end, I am fire in the rain. I've been through it all before, and I'd go through it again. Feel me burning from within, 'cause I am fire in the rain.
Nothing to lose, just give it all. Ain't nothing wrong with you taking the fall. If you feel twice, then get up on the third and make sure that you come back on and standing tall. Some days you just gotta try. Take a leap of faith, you might even fly. Ain't nobody can stop you, and the only limit that you got up here is the sky.
Asking where, looking for signs. Search through the end of time, lost, can't seem to find a peace of mind.
Here's a peace of mind. Ever thought about the strength you possess? Life throws you obstacles to test you, it's only so that you can bring out your best. I gotta confess.
Like the sea meets every shore, not an if but it's a when.
Until the end now.
Beginning to the end, I am fire in the rain.
Let it burn now.
Through it all before, and I'd go through it again.
I can't
Feel
stop
me
now.
burning from within.
Look, yeah.
I am fire in the rain, 'cause I am fire in the rain.
Ho ho! Yeah.
Undivided, we are one. When it's said and done, just try and become a better man, a better son. No shadows if you face the sun. Never the same, people gon' change, even in pain. Remember the days like nobody's ever really watching you. Watch the fire burning in the rain. Come on.
Sea meets every shore, not an if but it's a when.
Until the end now.
Beginning to the end, I am fire in the rain.
I can't stop now.
Been through it all before, and I'd go through it again. Feel me burning from within, 'cause I am fire in the rain.
Oh!
Burning from within.
Yeah, 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 yeah.
I am fire in the rain.
Yeah. So our next song is So It Goes from the Song for Autism. So here it is. Inspiring compassion through music. This is Autism.
He dances happy across
Musicians for a Cause.
Yeah.
sings a million songs, maybe more. And he counts all the leaves as they fall.
1 in
from
88
the trees
children has an
and
autism spectrum
holding
disorder.
my
Wow.
heart
For
in
boys,
his
it's 1 in
hand.
54.
He has yet to say, I love you. He has yet
Autism impacts the ability to
his own
communicate
shoe.
and to interact socially.
There is no cure for autism. We just gotta learn how to live with it.
Without support, some develop challenging behaviors. Self-injury, aggression, flight.
They are effective treatments for the symptoms of autism. But for most, they're not covered by health insurance. That's so sad, guys. It should be covered, I think.
caregiver's perspective.
Fuck yeah.
Awesome. And now the last one that we have is the Disability Pride song.
So here it is. Fuck yeah.
It's by the Staying Connected Network.
disability without being forced to hide it. We are all the same.
Human rights for all humans.
People with disabilities are not invisible. Focus on my ability, not my disability.
We are into now, we are together in the disability, we are together.
I'm proud to be a trans man.
Hi, this is Josh from Spirit Lights, and you're listening to